We are continuing our journey on a blessing and a burden. By the way, I did look at the discography yesterday. I was wrong. This dude really does put out music. I gotta figure out how I'm going to review it because there is just so much. I would borderline call it oversaturation. But yeah, this is The Healer by K-Rino. If you enjoy the content, link's going to be in the description below. Head on over to his channel, give it a subscribe, and give the video a like. While you're here, I'm not saying you have to, but if you're feeling generous, then if you hit that button under my face, it helps get the video out with the algorithm. And if you slap that big red button that says subscribe, then you get to help me stick it to YouTube for restricting my content. Let's go.
Some years back, a young man in the making was walking one day when he witnessed something that would break him. The day before his 18th birthday, with dark approaching, he saw a man collapse out on the street and start convulsing. A crowd gathered quickly as his faculties betrayed him. Nobody seemed to have the skill capacity to save him. His life force was draining fast as he laid on the pavement. The paramedics came, but they were unable to raise him. When they placed the white sheet on his face, the youngster melted, cause never ever had he felt this powerless and helpless. He ran home traumatized, mentally distraught, cause due to ignorance of life essentially was lost. He broke down with hurt and anger, then started to weep. Woke up feeling differently after falling asleep. A power came over him that he couldn't comprehend, but somehow he knew the sick would never die on him again. The clock struck midnight, he carried on confused. He stayed up till it was time to watch the morning news. They showed a little girl, her kidneys were failing on her. They said she wouldn't live for long unless they found a donor. He visited the hospital and asked for the physician. Told him of his intentions while the parents were listening. He said he felt like he could heal her if allowed to test it. Her father felt disrespected, but her mother was desperate. He almost got arrested for his persistence and pious. Somehow he convinced him to let him in the room to try it. Moments from succumbing to the condition I mentioned. As he held her hand and whispered, she began to strengthen. He saw the life return into her eyes when he was finished. The color in her skin began to instantly replenish. The doctors were alerted and they rushed in with the quickness. Tested her for hours and found no traces of sickness. As her parents embraced and cried, the room was frantic. They noticed when they turned around to thank him, he had vanished. He realized he couldn't take this new power for granted. He gave up everything and started traveling the planet. He started healing people, this was now known as his mantra. From pneumonia to cancer, he had shown them the answer. From young to old, if they were ill, somebody would retrieve him. And after he see them, the suffering would instantly leave him. People began to praise him and uphold him like a trophy. Some accused him of witchcraft and spells that were unholy, but nothing could control the earth that couldn't stop arousing. Within the first year, he had healed over 1,000. He learned he could rebuild those who were terminally ill. Any person that he encountered was permanently healed. The government discovered how he was saving civilians. It angered them because they knew that it would cost them billions. Sickness was a business, they benefit strictly from it. Sales of pharmaceuticals began to quickly plummet. Plans were set in motion to locate him, then remove him. But every time they sought him out for capture, he'd elude them. Several years passed, countless lives he had been saving. Though still young, his face would show accelerated aging. He couldn't stay in one place, authorities were trailing. And slowly now his own health remarkably was failing. He couldn't seem to shake this constant wave of pain and illness. The study and the time it took to be explained revealed it. The reason why his energy and light was getting dim was every sickness he removed from others went inside of him. Symptoms of every condition known to man consumed him. Now it appeared as though his quest to heal the world had doomed him. He tried to fix it with his own endowed invented methods, but the technique he was blessed with somehow was ineffective. This didn't stop his efforts, he continued on unselfishly, restoring the disabled, little babies and the elderly. The wealthy, greedy people and the police start to get him. Now due to his poor condition had finally caught up with him. They surrounded his home, rushed in with special devices, discovered him in a horizontal position, lifeless. This man who took the sick, afflicted ones and gave him help. Ironically, the only person he couldn't heal was himself. The scientists wickedly started dissecting his corpse, searching for the power, but they couldn't find the source. The people loved him now, so when they found out, they rebelled, rose up against the beast and sent the whole system to hell. They purified the oxygen, the water, and the food. All the unnatural toxins in it were removed. The lifespan of man began to reach unplotted range. So now the work that the healer had done was not in vain. Vain, vain.
Okay then. I'm going to take a look at this comment section right quick, see what people were saying. If I can. Here we go. Pre-order, storytelling unrivaled. There's a never be outgun. Just when you think you have saved up enough money for Christmas, then along comes a K-Rino album or two, maybe 7 albums in one day. Yeah, I feel that. I could touch on the subject matter, but I think I kind of enjoy the fact that it's a mystery. But yeah, it is really impressive storytelling. Like, I was just like picturing it the entire time that he was telling it. Like, very, very imagination inducing. If you enjoyed the content, link's going to be in the description below. Head over to his channel, give him a subscribe, and give this video one of these. While you're here, I'm not saying you have to, but if you're feeling generous, pressing the button under my face helps get the video out with the algorithm. And if you slap that big red button that says subscribe, then you get to help me stick it to YouTube for restricting my content. Till next time, I love you all. Be notorious.